is going to be Tom Nolan versus Nikolas Motta. Tom Nolan, the big train, he is 6-0. He is 5-0 in his last five. He's coming off of that Dana White Contender Series win knockout in the first round. He is fighting against Nikolas Motta, 13-5. He's coming off of a draw against Trey Ogden, or no contest, pretty much a stoppage, pretty much. I mean, if you did watch the fight, though, he pretty much got subbed in the third round, I believe, by Trey Ogden. I think like we were both, you were probably on Trey Ogden too, but I think we were all on Trey Ogden in that fight. And yeah, unfortunately, we didn't cash those like Trey Ogden by, we had like some props on him too, and that was just some bad reffing. We need to audit that. We need the UFC needs to see what happened there because that Trey Ogden was winning that fight. I believe he was like up on the judges' scorecard for at least two of them, like 2-0. So yeah, unfortunately, it was a no contest, I guess. He's 30 years old. I think Tom Nolan will be making his UFC debut in this fight. He's going to be the much longer fighter, taller fighter here, as you can see. Odds for this fight right now, Tom Nolan, he's a minus 330. So he opened up at a minus 210. And people have been riding the Tom Nolan train ever since. I mean, his nickname is Big Train for a reason. So I guess people are kind of shoving him in that regard. I'll go ahead and kind of start off this. I mean, Tom Nolan, from the limited kind of tape that I did see of him, he's a good striker, high volume and pace. I also think that he's able to work in combos pretty well. Not only can he kind of kickbox, he also shows some good solid knees as well. So I think that he's pretty all well-rounded striker in that sense. He also has some decent jiu-jitsu skills, uses his reach and length pretty well in grappling exchanges. Once he gets on top, I think that his ground and pound is actually pretty good. He can throw in some elbows as well. And I also like the fact that he knows how to use his reach and length on the ground to be able to perform chokes, right? So I like that he's kind of well rounded, but he's a more of a striker through and through. And this matchup, I think, is going to be a mainly striking matchup because Mata is also a good striker himself, pretty explosive with his strikes. I think Mata has a good power behind his strikes as well, and you can use a really patient approach at times and kind of wait for a time to explode in flurries and kill shots. And that sometimes leads to him losing fights because I think that he doesn't have the best striking defense and durability to play that game of that waiting game. He either smokes his opponents or his opponent smokes him, as you saw in his last fight. So, I mean, Mata was outstruck by Trey Ogden his last fight, right? I mean, that's not a good sign. I don't think Ghost Samurai is the best striker in the division, but he was outstruck by Trey Ogden. I feel like Tom's just going to be the much better striker here. Tom does have below average takedown defense. He'll get taken down, but I just don't think that'll matter much against a guy like Nikolas Motta, who's going to be smaller than him frame wise. And I just don't think Motta is like a grappler or a wrestler. He's not going to be able to kind of impose his will in that sense. Also, another thing that I don't like about Motta, he seems to have low fight IQ and not good cardio, especially in the last fight. Ever since he got starched by Jim Miller and Miguel Torres, I just feel like this guy's chin has gone down and he's a little bit more hesitant. And you saw that in the last fight, right? Trey Ogden was just kind of piecing this guy up. Didn't really have an answer for Trey Ogden. So more hesitant, less durable. That's not a good recipe for success in the UFC. My pick here is Tom Nolan by KO. I could see a sub and club even, but I'll hold off on making a play here as it is Tom's UFC debut. Mata does have UFC experience, albeit he's been losing a lot so far. But I just remember the fight against Zach Reese and Cody Brundage, right? I mean, like Cody was getting his ass beat left and right by a lot of guys, and this new prospect came out, bigger, taller version, and Zach Reese just got slammed on his head pretty much. So yeah, I think that I'll hold off on the play. I'll just kind of watch this to see how Tom does. But pick here is Tom by KO. Gerard, what do you think about this fight between Tom Nolan and Nicolas Motta here?
Yeah, Mata, I thought he had like some solid stand-up potential um, in these fights, but he continues to kind of underwhelm a lot of these fights. And that Ogden fight, Ghost Samurai. I'll give Trey Ogden his flowers. He kind of gets people to turn into ghosts in these fights. They all trying to they kind of never get into rhythm against Trey Ogden, so I'll give him that. But yeah, it didn't really look good for Mata there. And I'll give Mata that he'll have the experience advantage, and he's seen past round one more than Tom Nolan. So if this goes past round one, maybe Mata has a chance here. Um, I am gonna be picking Tom Nolan here. Now, Mata did knock out Van Camp, who was a pretty big stature, who's like 6'2", Tom Nolan 6'3". But one difference here is that Tom Nolan's much quicker, and I think he's much more dangerous, and he throws a lot of wild shots at you. So that's a big danger factor that Van Camp didn't have against Mata, where Mata was using that counter left hook. Um, Now, yeah, the only thing that I kind of worry here is Tom Nolan's inexperience past round one, but then again, that might not matter in this fight against Mata, but you never know. Mata's has multiple UFC fights already, and this is a debut fighter, Tom Nolan. Like you said, look what happened with Zachary's.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's kind of had like the same confidence sentiment among the MMA betting space. But yeah, I think Tom Nolan's wildness could possibly just get him the KO here. But for now, I'm going to be staying away. I think I have more confident spots on this card than this fight, but my pick is still Tom Nolan.
yeah, I'm in total agreement. I mean, these Dana White Contender Series alums, I mean, they're very hit and miss sometimes. So we'll see how this fight plays out, and just kind of analyze it for the next time these guys fight, right? Maybe we could ride Tom Nolan next time, fade him. Same goes with Nikolas Motta. I think this is more of an informational fight rather than something that you must put a play on for this fight.